So let me switch that, start that. I think we're going. Let me pull up the stream to make sure, but we should be live. All right, see if we have audio. I don't hear anything. I think we're going. Let me pull up, because the audio is coming through this headset. So let me. All right, so that is good, but we're gonna lower this down a bunch. Because we don't need that loud. Oh, you know what? It's because I've got it. All right, that should be good. We'll leave that there. Okay. So that's coming through. That's good. We're gonna leave things with this camera, I think, because if we switch to this, it's just me and Ben. But we're gonna leave things here, I think. Yeah. All right. So that's coming through. So we're going to set everything up. Make sure we're good to go over here. We should be able to just start that. So, nice. Stream manager. Let's hit the refresh here. All right, cool. So we are live. That's good. We are going to close this. Go to that. And we'll leave that where it is. Actually, we'll bring it up here. So we are live. That's good. And we'll pause that. And leave that there. For anyone watching, I'm just adjusting my stuff so I can see comments if they're coming in. And actually, Ben's gonna join us tonight, so that should be fun. At least he said he wants to hang out, so we'll see if he hangs out or not. And then the last one I want to set up is Facebook. So I'm just gonna pull that up, and then we'll get started. For anybody who's hanging out. All right, let's go over here. And I should gotta switch. Because we have an event already set up. Where is the event happening now? Set up live video. There we go. Okay. Allow that. We're going to use the streaming software. We're going to copy this, copy that, and we're going to put it in here. My camera is in the way. Server is that. And that is that. So that should be good. We should be able to do that now. Let's see if we've got video coming through. Nice, we do. Alrighty. We are making some Game Boys. Save that. And we will save these changes. That should be good. It's 7. So how do I... turn off the automatically go live. Oh, that's what we want to do. We should be starting there, and then everything should be set up. All right, sweet. That looks good. Got comments there. We'll shrink this down. So we got comments here too. And then we will bring this down. That should be good. Okay. Well, I don't know where Ben is or if he's even joining us anymore. He probably forgot, but that's okay. We're just gonna get started anyway. Let me get this out of here. Put this behind us. Put this bad boy on the charger. All right, so today we are going to be working on a Game Boy kit. I have a couple behind me that I've been working on, and I will show you one of the Game Boy Advanced that I finished. So this is a finished one. So we're putting in a backlit screen, right? And then it's a custom shell, USB-C charging, rechargeable battery. And so I picked out the shell, I picked out the button colors, the glass screen replacement. So we might get to a Game Boy Advance today. I'm not totally sure, but we're definitely gonna start with an SP. So if you see me looking here, it's because that's where my OBS is, even though my camera is there, because Ben is supposed to be here, but I don't know if he's hanging out or not. So I'm just going to get started. So the first thing that I do is take it apart. I will show you, before we do that, the shell that I got here. Let me open this bad boy up. So I have a repo of the Rayquaza limited edition Pokemon Center shell. So obviously it's not the original, and it's a reproduction for a couple reasons, but the main reason is for these what are called ISP screens, which is what this is here. The size is a bit different, so you have to either cut a shell or have one that's pre-cut. And I don't really like cutting the plastic because I tend to mess it up So I just buy mine pre-cut, and that saves me some time and effort. So yeah, we're just gonna open this up. We've got some screws in here. We probably won't use many of these because they're usually pretty bad. The ones they give you are usually pretty bad. And then I have hinges from another shell, but we'll actually take the hinges out of the shell, and I'll show you what that looks like, what that process is like. There's some tutorials online, but most people seem to do it wrong. They seem to just brute force it, which I feel like is never the best option, especially with kits like this. And then I have to grab one more thing, because we're actually going to change the buttons too, because this by default here, if you can see, right, they're like gray, pretty standard SP shell buttons, just like this one. But I have custom ones that I got that I think will look really cool with this set. So let me grab those. Right here. And let me make sure, yeah, okay. So what I'll do, I don't have any of the links right now, but I will put a link in the video after it's gone live to like where I've gotten most of this stuff from. A fair amount it's from AliExpress, so you have to wait quite a while for it to show up. It's coming all the way from China. But same thing here, right? So they give you another set of screwdrivers and crappy screws, and then some membranes and the buttons here. So we'll hold on to those. We'll move these over there because we're not going to use that. If anything, we'll use the screws that came with the shell, but I'm going to try to use the screws from the actual set because those ones seem to work better. So we're going to do that instead. And Ben just sent me a text here, so let's see what he says. Alright, cool. He is doing something else, which is totally fine. Okay, so let's take this stuff. Okay, so these are the buttons and membranes that came with the kit. We're going to take these out because we don't need those. And I'm going to put them over here. I've got my little replacement collection going in this bin over here. So if I'm ever missing a piece or I need one for something, I know exactly where to find it. So these you gotta be careful with because they really like to spring out at you. So we'll save the rod and pin for later. We'll put that there. Same thing here. Don't destroy myself in the process. Taking that out. Or break the plastic, because that would be really bad. Alright. Same thing. We'll put these over here. And that one can go in there too. Alright. And this as well. Cool. So there's our empty shell. We'll put this up to the top corner here for now. And I can move that over just a little bit more to get it out of the way here. Alright, and we'll move this over here because we won't need that right this second. What I will bring in is some tweezers, a spudger as they're called, some of my screw tops here. Got a couple different sizes that I'll use. They are getting magnetically stuck together right now. And then I have an electric screwdriver. So we'll use that. And then put my screws on here. Maybe we'll put this up top. Try to get you an aesthetic setup, you know? Don't want to get too crazy. Okay. Move this sticker over here. We're going to try to take this sticker off. I'll do that off stream because I need to heat this and then peel the sticker off. So I don't want to do that while I'm on stream because it'll take some time. So we're going to stick to just taking it apart. And the first thing we want to do is take the battery out. So let's make sure I have the Phillips head on. There's one Phillips head screw here. So we'll take that out. And this one isn't bulging too much. So we'll actually hold on to this. If I usually get my stuff used. Some of them This one is actually one from my childhood. Some of the ones I have, though, I've purchased used, or I've gotten from thrift stores or yard sales or whatever. And sometimes the batteries are just terrible, and so I'll just chuck those if they're bulging, because then they can end up going bad, and it's not a good situation to be in. So now we're going to switch here to a tri-wing, which it seems I didn't get out. Because these are all Phillips heads. It's very hard to tell the Phillips head apart from the tri-wings sometimes, especially when they get super small. I must have... Oh, there's that one. Okay. Okay. I think this is the one we're going to want, but we might go smaller. We'll see. Let's see this one. Actually, the bigger one seems to work. You don't want to strip these screws. I've done it plenty of times, and it is not a good place to be, because you, especially when you get down into the flush ones, then you're in a bad spot. If you're ever in that situation, the trick, actually, I've learned recently, is aluminum foil. I've tried the rubber band thing. People will say to use rubber band. I couldn't get that to work, but aluminum foil did the trick for me. Now, the screen on this one is actually not in the best shape. It's got some like markings. It looks like some dust inside the screen, so we're probably not going to hold on to it. Sometimes I will keep them, sometimes I will sell them, but this one is in pretty bad shape, so I think we'll probably just get rid of it. But maybe I'll hold on to it, use it for something. We'll see. Alright, so those screws come off. You gotta be careful. This little square piece in here sometimes will come out. That's what holds the battery pack in, so you gotta be careful about that. But usually it's pretty solid in there. So we'll move that to the side for now. Alright, and then this is your SP motherboard, right? So this is where your cartridge goes. Your speaker is actually behind it. This is your power switch, your volume, left and right buttons. So all of this actually works pretty good. We wouldn't see any damage in here. Sometimes I've got one that the left and right buttons are broken on, but this one's good. I tested this one ahead of time, because sometimes I'll buy them and, you know, the listing will say damaged, and 9 times out of 10 it's just the battery is bad, or it needs to be cleaned. But every once in a while I get one and it's way above my pay grade, which happens because I don't really know too much about micro soldering, but I do like taking things apart. All right, so those 3 screws hold your motherboard in. This part's a little tricky. You have to lift this up. You don't want to do it too hard, because under here is where the ribbon cable, if you can see that, connects to the screen. So we gotta take our pliers here, and we gotta just push down on the 2 sides, and that will allow us to free the ribbon cable. Okay, you want to be careful that you don't push too hard in the wrong spots, right? Because you've got lots of small components in here that you don't want to knock off your motherboard. Sorry, I've got a light that's a little bright there. But let's see, Nintendo right here. Okay, and this is your up, down, left, and right. Our membranes are stuck. There's your A and B, and your start and select, and the light on and off button. Okay, so we'll set this aside for a second. We'll just we'll put it over here so you can take a look at it, or doing the rest of our stuff here. And we'll throw these into our little bin. I probably should separate the aftermarket membranes from the original, and same for the buttons, but they're similar enough that it's really not that big of a deal, in my opinion. I'm sure some people would be mad hearing me say that, but I think they're close enough that it's not a huge deal. Okay, so, and then this is our speaker, right? It's kind of cool, actually. The speakers are super easy to replace because just these metal pins are what give it the power that it needs. So we'll put that up here because we'll use that in our new build. Okay, this is where things online, people would say, get tricky. But actually, it's not that hard. If you really understand how these work, it's not too much of a challenge. I had the right one on, and I changed it. So you have one screw here under your ribbon cable, and this actually holds a flap on the front that makes it look like your plastic goes all the way across, even though it doesn't. I'll show you what I mean. This piece right here. So now this should just come right up, but we'll open it up because it's a little easier to grab it that way. See? So that protects your ribbon cable on the inside. And what that also does is it shows you the first hinge. And this is what I mean by some people say it's tricky online, because what they'll do is they'll just push on these super hard, and that's actually not the best way to get these out. You don't have to actually push that hard. It's pretty easy to get them out if you know what you're doing. But we're going to pop the screen out first, and then we'll come back to the hinges because it's a little easier to get them out once you've popped your screen out. So what I usually do with that is just kind of hold it like this. And I don't usually like to use these because I try to rescue these guys. So if you have like a plastic thing, you can try and use those. Sometimes the original ones are like either glued in or they have some kind of like tape that's holding them in as opposed to just like pressure. So it's can be a little hard to get them out. Sometimes I'll take a really small flathead, just try to pry it under there. But if I can save these, that's great, because I might have a system where I want to use red ones for or something. There's no reason to waste them. They still work super well. Yeah, there we go. So that's the first one. These ones usually aren't as hard to get out, ironically, the flat ones. But yeah, see, I'm getting a little aggressive there, and I'm trying to rip it. You don't want to do that. That's not good. Sometimes you can't help it though. Sometimes they're old enough that they've just kind of dry rotted, and there's nothing you can do about it. I had one system that I got, and it as I was taking it apart, it just kept breaking. Like every screw would break the plastic housing around it when I tried to take it out. So it must have just been in some pretty rough conditions and not taken well care of. Just peeling these guys out one at a time. I was doing this with pliers, or with my tweezers one time, and I was pushing on an angle too hard, and the tweezers popped out and scratched my screen. And that was super upsetting. It's like, man, that's my luck. Oh, there we go. I heard it. Yeah. The new ones actually don't have any kind of like sticky side on them, which I think is actually kind of bad. I would appreciate a little bit of an adhesive on one side. I'm gonna put this in here to get a little more leverage. Yeah, I would appreciate a little adhesive, but they're just held in by pressure, which for the most part works. I've only had one kit that I got where one of the rounds was maybe cut too wide, and so the rubber bit didn't actually fit in there too well. I had to put a little tacked on tape in there. And I don't always hold on to these shells, the original manufacturer shells. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll sell them, but I tend not to sell them only because for the most part they're super beat up. Some people want them though, even if they are beat up, because some people want, you know, all original. I think this one's just gonna have to get ripped here. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so some people really want the original materials, which is fine. We're gonna put these in my little container here. I've got a little bag of different colored ones. All right, so then all that does is that shows you 5 more tri-wing screws. So we will put our tri-wing back on. We'll pull these up. Once again, be careful with these ones. These are easy to strip and then hard to remove. And sometimes, like I said, they have a little tape on them. I'll show you on this one if you can see. Ooh, as I launch it from my pliers there. All right, so if you can see that, there's that little kind of layer on top of the screw there. So sometimes it's funny, I've seen that on screws. I don't see it on every screw. I don't know if it was like a standard thing in the factory or if it was just like they're maybe supposed to be the sticky things for the rubber bits. That's what my guess would be. Two more to go. Yeah, that one just fell right apart. Just get that out of there. Oh, interesting. It's like still stuck to the plastic. Move that aside. All right, and the last one here. Nice. There we go. All right, cool. So that is our 5 screws for our screen, and this guy should just come up like this. Okay, and then we can just pull that out just like that. So we'll come back to this and we'll grab the hinges from that in a second. What I'll do right now is just pull this out, right? So here's your screen. This is already laminated, right? So that's what this means. This is the lamination that goes over it, and there's a pretty big scratch here. If you can see that, if I can get the lighting right. Yeah, there you go. So that's a pretty big scratch on the screen, and there's 2 dust marks. There's one here, and then there's one a little lower on the screen here. But what we'll do later is I'll plug it back in later, and I'll show you the difference between this screen and the screen kit that we're plugging in, so you can see them kind of side by side, or at least one after the other. I'll show you side by side when we're totally done, because I've got another SP I can show you. So let me show you what I was talking about earlier with these. Feel free to post any questions or comments. Okay, so this one's kind of rough. This is a pre-cut shell, and I've had them actually just printed this way, but it looks like this one was printed like an original, and then someone came in here with a Dremel. So maybe I won't recommend whoever I bought this from, because this isn't the best work. You won't really see this in the end, but it's kind of rough, pretty bad. But basically the biggest thing is, if you look here, there's a gap right here. This is for the PCB, the motherboard on the screen. It needs that little extra space, whereas on this one, right, it goes all the way down. So you could just cut out that chunk if you wanted to keep your original shell, if you were emotionally invested in it. But we're gonna upgrade to a Rayquaza. So we'll put that back over here. All right, so hinge time. Basically what we need is something that we can use to press on the hinge. So we'll just grab one of these. This torque one should fit perfect. Okay, so on the hinges here, there's little flaps. It's kind of hard to see. That's a better angle probably, yeah. So there's 4 little angles there. You have to kind of push them towards the middle and then push out. So I'll try and show you here. You have to kind of push them in a little bit. Sometimes they're stuck or they'll break, like that one, if they're super old. And then you gotta pry this one and that one forward just a bit. Okay, and once they're kind of pried, you just give it a little push, and it should move on its own. If it doesn't, okay, what you want to do is actually open it up and try pushing it this way. If that still doesn't go, close it again and push it again. Basically, what people online will tell you is just push it harder, but that's not the trick actually. It has very little to do with how hard you push it, and it has to do with actually the angle the hinge is at. So let's get that through. Okay, so that's the first part. See how it's kind of poking out now a little bit? Okay, this is where videos online, people will just say, yeah, just keep pushing it. That's not what you want to do. Okay, what you want to do is actually open it again. But I'm going to get this side out first so I can do it both at the same time. So we'll push these in like we did the other ones, just so that they're away from the wall. Just a bit, so that pushing will send it out. See how easy that one was to do? Okay, now you open it. Okay, now the hinges are aligned straight, and you just push a little bit more, and there you go. That's one. Okay, this one's a little harder because of the angle, but you can come in from behind there and just give it a little push. Jamming. Might be able to pull it from here. Yeah. Okay. So it's not really about force. It's about aligning the hinges correctly. The reason that matters, hopefully you can see here. Let me see if I can get you the angle right. So this line goes straight through, and you want it to go straight through. If you don't do it that way with the hinges, they actually hook into an incorrect position, and then it makes it really hard to get them in again for the next time. So we have them aligned correctly, which means sliding them in will be super easy. Okay, so these little red pieces actually come off. They're just hinge covers, and there are green ones that came with my new set. So we'll put the green ones on when we're ready to put the hinges in the new show. So they just slide right off. Okay, you want to remember too, some aftermarket hinges are the same color, but the white hinge goes on the right side if you're looking at it, and the black hinge goes on the left side if you're looking at it. I don't know if that totally matters, to be honest, but I've just tried to keep it that way because that's how they all are, so I assume there's a reason behind it. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to open up our ISP screen kit here, and we want to do a dry test. So basically we're going to plug this into the motherboard. I'm going to hold a battery onto it, and we're going to turn it on and make sure the screen works before we get it all installed, because if it's broken now, it's best to learn that now. Now it looks like some of these kits come with this extra wire here, because you can solder, I think, for brightness. Like I said, I'm not a micro solderer, so I just don't do that. And I keep it at 1 brightness, which is plenty bright if you ask me. Okay, so what we gotta do here, basically this has to line up with this. So we're gonna do it this way, because basically it's gonna fold back. So we kind of have to, I guess I can do it this way too. I can bring it over and line it up. Just don't want to really push on the screen too much. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So we're gonna pull it off here, and then click it into place. There we go. A little patience goes a long way. All right. So this is where that little cutout matters, because it actually overhangs. See how it overhangs there? So that cutout is important for that. If I was making these, I would just move this over a centimeter, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that. But maybe that's impossible. Maybe I'm just ignorant. I don't know what I'm talking about. That sounds more likely. Okay, so we'll leave this on for now. This is just printing the screen, so we'll leave it on for now. And we want the gold side facing up. So we'll slide that in. Oh, I have it in the locked position. That's why. How embarrassing. I push these back down when we took the motherboard out. So we gotta pull them back out. Now we slide that in there. It should go in super easy. Nice. Okay. So once that's in, it's a little hard. You kind of have to hold it while you push these down. But once one is down, usually it's in, and you're good to go. All right, so that's good. All we have to do now is make sure we're in the off position, okay? And I'm going to, you want to be careful, right? You don't want to pull on this too much and mess up with the hinges or anything. Okay, so here's our battery, and on the back side here, right, the battery goes one direction. So we'll just hold that right up against there. I'll move my hand out of the way. Right, we flick this on. There you go. Okay. So we don't have any sound, right? Because our speaker is over there. But that works. The screen's not cracked. Everything looks good. Color looks good. So we'll flick that off. We'll take the battery back out. Okay. So we are ready to fully assemble this. Okay. And we have to kind of go in reverse order, right? So this isn't actually going to be installed right now because we have to slide it through the shell. All right. So let's put that there. I want to do, I think, the screen first, but let's put our buttons in because sometimes I forget to do that. Because the motherboard goes over it, and then I have to take the motherboard back out again. It's this whole process. You know, I don't want to have to do that. So instead of doing that, we're just going to take it out as it is. Alrighty. So yeah, we've got these pretty sweet gold buttons that I think are going to look really cool with the green Rayquaza shell. Alright, and then we'll take the original membranes back here, and we'll use the original ones because I think they are a bit better. And I need a bigger one. Nice. Okay, so those are the membranes from my original shell. Sometimes I say use the ones that came with this because it really fits it better, but I think this time I'm going to go with the original. And then this is for the start and select buttons. Sometimes I have to grab them. Nope. Just help me pick it up. That one goes there. Start and select. Oh, gotta flip it over. There we go. Okay, and then fortunately the A and B buttons have these little itty bitty tabs. If you can see them. Yeah. So those tabs are facing specific directions, so you can only put the buttons in one way, which is fortunate because someone like me would be dumb and put them in wrong. But I'm sure that also just helps for the assembly, original assembly. All right, that goes there, that goes there, and then this one goes here. So the brightness button actually doesn't matter for this screen. If you were soldering, I believe that it would work, but it's weird to have a gap there. Plus, that could get stuff in your motherboard. You don't want to do that. So always put that in, even if you're not going to do the soldering, like me. Okay, so this part's done. Let's grab this, and let's put these in. Okay, so we have a left over here, and we have right over here. Okay, this part is a little tricky too, because these actually matter which direction you put them in. So I think, yeah, we need this one. Right. Oh, I was actually right the first time. I was just putting it in the wrong way. There we go. Okay, and then your little rod goes through. Okay, and then that seats in here. And then this has to get bent around till it locks in. There you go. Not too hard. Not too hard at all. And then got to do the same thing here. If you're anything like me, you're like, I can't do this because I've got really shaky hands. Then no, you'll be fine. Because there's no way your hands are as shaky as mine. They are terrible sometimes. Alright, seat that. And then pull you around. And, oh, almost had it. Nope. We might need the pliers for this one. Actually, pliers were less helpful. Oh, nice. Got it unintentionally. I mean, first try. Okay, so that's done as well. Sweet. Okay, so that is good to go. We'll put this in here as well. That goes like this. Okay. All right, so we are ready for placing the screen. Now I'm going to grab this. It's a little foam insert they give you. This just helps with spacing. The screen won't move around. So we'll place that in there. Okay. And then the thing you have to think about is this has to wrap around itself so that you can open and close the case, right? So you kind of have to do that spiral before you place it down in here. And we want to make sure that our screen is placed centered, because that will affect viewing if it is not. And it can be easy to mess up. Alright, so I put my thumb there to hold that down. And we're a little crooked here, so we want to fix that. That looks a lot better. Okay, and there's a little bit of sticky material on the other side of this to help keep it in place. And obviously placing this will help as well. So we're going to remove our screen protector here. Okay, there's your Gameboy Advanced. Let's put that down. And tuck it. Our PCB is not being helpful. It's really sticking out on this one. I think it's because the angle I have this is kind of pulling it. Yeah, see how it's displacing it, the angle? So we want to kind of push that in a bit. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. Okay, and it looks a little off, so I'm gonna adjust it here a bit. It looked like it was a little misaligned. I'm wondering if it would be easier to do it this way. To place it down in here, like so. Yeah, see, that is probably a much easier way of doing this. Not the super complicated way I decided to try and do it. And then drop this on top. Yeah, there we go. That looks much better. All right, so then if it lies flat, right, it'll go like that. If you open it up, it'll go like that. Doop, doop. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to try and reuse the original screws here, but sometimes they give you some trouble. And what we're gonna do is just gonna try to get one in. We'll do a corner, maybe we'll do 2 corners. Because in case we have to open this up again, you don't want to put them all in and then take them all out again. All right, so let's do the rest by hand here, so we don't strip that screw. I think we did already a little bit, but that's okay. And then we'll do a top corner here as well, just so we've got 2 points kind of sealing this up. I'm gonna start this one by hand this time, because this is where like you don't want to spin the top of it more than you have to. Okay, so that keeps it at least in place for now. And I've got some screen cleaner that we'll use to clean it off so it doesn't look as terribly messy as it does right now. Okay, so a problem I've had with these shells before is the cover piece or the shell itself, the hinges and that plastic sometimes are extruded either poorly or cheaply on a replacement shell like this. And what happens is, because of that, the open and close isn't as smooth as you'd want it to be. So what I tend to do is actually take, I have like let's see, what is this? This is 3000 grit sandpaper. It's like for metal work, and use it to just kind of take the sides of this down a little bit. Oh, I dropped my hinge cover. Let me grab that real quick. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just take this, right, this little plastic guy, and we'll just run it a couple times back and forth on both sides, just to not remove too much, but just remove enough that it shouldn't rub. Yeah, those gold buttons already look super cool, don't they? I'm a huge fan. I might be keeping this one for myself, we'll see. I have a Legend of Zelda one that I put together that's super nice, but green's my favorite color, so I might be keeping this one. We'll see. Now you don't want to do this too much because you don't want to have a big gap. You just want it to be enough that it won't rub. I mean, if it does, we can always adjust it. It's just super hard to adjust it later. It's super easy to adjust it now. And I thought I had, oh yeah, I have some little pieces over here that I already ripped, because we're also just going to do it on these, just on the off chance that it's rubbing on this piece as well. That will just give us a little extra room to play around with. Because a big part of the Game Boy SP for me is that really satisfying hinge movement, the opening and closing. And if that's hindered, that can be an issue. All right, that should do it. I'm not opposed to taking it out and trying it again. So So let's feed that down in there to start. Okay. And then, oh yeah, I can already feel that it's going to be a tighter fit here. I can already feel. So we're going to take off a little bit more. And we're going to take it off of the screen side this time. So we'll take some off here. We'll take some off on the other side as well. Once again, right, this is super fine work, so it's not gonna really do too much, and it's okay, because we don't really want to take off too much, just enough. Let me clean up my workspace for you a little bit. Get the trash out of here, huh? Let's see. That's already looking good. It looks like there was some actual burrs on that one, so that could have been part of it. When they do injection molding, right, they're pushing liquid plastic into a predetermined mold, and the injection points can often leave little burrs. And a good example of that is actually right here. You can see those are 2 injection points. There's a third one there, it looks like. So sometimes those burrs can actually affect things, like ours is being affected. And we'll do a little bit on this side as well. And we'll see how that feels when we're done. Because you know, if it feels bad now, it's not going to feel any better when the hinges are in there. I hope you're enjoying this little change in pace here. Normally I'd be playing a game right now, but I've got a couple of these I want to put together, and I was hoping to record one. And I said, you know what? If I'm going to record it, why not do it on stream? And I probably should just move the camera at this point, right? Because we know Ben's not coming. So why don't I do that? Why don't we just adjust this a little bit? Oh, I guess if I do that, you're getting the corner of my computer screen. Oh, that's fine. All right, so let's see how that feels. If we see, I'm gonna put the buttons back in again, aren't I? Let's just take them out. I got ahead of myself. I got too excited. I was like, man, we're already at this step. We're doing great. Silly me. I should have known better. But it's better to do this, right? Take it apart. It's easy and test this than trying to do this later. All right, gotta slide that down there. Okay, slide this in. Okay, that already feels better. It's still not quite where I want it to be, so we're gonna take a little bit more off of each side, but it's already much better, which is good. That's a good sign. I was kind of worried, right, this wouldn't be doing enough, and I'd be sitting here for like 40 minutes just doing this part. I'd be like, oh yeah, people are definitely gonna want to see me sanding tiny hinges for 40 minutes. Two of the companies that come to mind, one's in the States and one's in the UK. So Retro 6 is a really well-known company that sells parts, and Handheld Legends is a company in the States that sells parts. What I will say is, for the most part, both of those, well, Retro 6 actually does a lot of their own part making, or printing, I should say, but a lot of the other companies you'll find online, they just buy from AliExpress, which you can also do. And I've been able to find some kits that are kind of already pre-assembled, or you know, just the shells, and you can end up saving some money that way if you're willing to wait. That's the biggest problem, is that the wait. Like, it took a month and a half for most of these parts to come in, so most people don't want to wait that long, which I understand. In which case I would send you to Handheld Legends. They have a lot of great stuff on their site. Or Retro 6, even if you're not in the UK. They make custom printed shells. So I'm actually planning on getting an SP and a Game Boy custom printed from them. Still not super happy with that. Yeah, still sticks too much. I tried to do this after it was already assembled, and it did not work. It was impossible to get the paper between. So we'll just take the extra time and do it now. Let's see, looks like we don't have any comments coming in, which is fine. If you got any questions or anything, let me know. Feel free. I'd love to answer them. Alright, you're gonna see me be super nerd now though. I've got this water bottle, it's like for sports, but I use it when I'm making stuff because it won't spill out, right? You have to like it's like what football players use or whatever. But it's really nice because I've had one too many close calls on my computer desk where I've spilled a cup or a water bottle and I'm like, oh gosh, I could have smoked my computer. All right. That should be good there. Let's do a little more over here. And right, this could be a lot faster with a lower grit sandpaper, but you could also, you know, really do damage to the plastic if you get too low. You could probably get away with something like 1,000 grit. I probably don't need to use 3,000. Really, probably just only taking like paint off with this layer, but I use this for pins sometimes. So if I'm like cleaning pins on a cartridge or something, I'll use this to just kind of polish it and take off either corrosion or whatever is marring it. All right. I'm hoping this is our last time here. Let's see. It's right there, but let's feel it with this in. See how this affects it. Okay, not too bad actually. All right, I think we're okay. I think we're good. All right, so what we do now is actually put that piece in. Actually, no, let's not do that. We want to put the hinges in first because we want to make sure that they are good to go. I feel like, did I twist this the wrong direction? No, because it's going to go straight down. Right, and then if it comes up, it'll want to untwist. I think I did. Don't do what I'm doing at home, kids. This is how you break a ribbon cable. I'm actually not. I'm gonna pull this screw out if I can. Just lift this up enough that I can twist it. I had it going that way. Let's try doing it this way. All right, that already feels better because it's pointing down. right? So that's there. And then you come up. And you go down. Yeah, all right. That should be good. Then I just install it the same exact way it was before. Probable. Very probable. Knowing myself, likely. But we'll leave it for now. Okay, so hinges. Okay, we have our clear white one on the right side and our black one on the left side. Okay, we want our green little caps here, our hinge covers, if you will. Okay, and same thing as before, they just slide right on. Just like that. Sorry for my giant fingers in the way. You can see that one. There you go. All right, so same thing as before. When we put these in, right, we actually want to start them. Okay, going straight. Okay, that's section 1. Okay, section 1. And now we rotate. So we're in about that position. It won't lock like before. So you gotta kind of have to feel it out. There you go. Nice and easy. And should be the same over here. There you go. Okay. Super easy. Okay. And that feels pretty smooth actually, which is good. Okay. I still feel like I twisted this the wrong direction. So I feel like it's not supposed to have this much pressure on it. Or is it just because this is not closed? And so it's like opening itself up again. I'm like pinching it, and I don't want to do that. Let's open it up and take a look. Because now that those have been threaded, it won't be as big of a deal next time around to get them in. All right, so I feel like this is the correct way, because if I twist it this way, I feel like that's way off, but let's see. Already doesn't want to go in, but that's just because it's been threaded the other way before. Yeah, see, I feel like that can't be right, because it doesn't want to stay, and I'd have to get it stay like that. Yeah, it can't be that way. We had it right the first time, I believe. Just like that. Okay. And then same thing, we'll throw it down in there. And then we have to fit this so it closes on that side. Don't second guess yourself. Just say, you know what? I did it right the first time. You won't have any of the trouble that I'm experiencing right now of trying to get this to stay in here. There we go. We're still lined up. We're still straight. Yeah, we still look good. Okay. All right. So let's put a screw back in here. Close this up. So the other thing you have to think about too, right, with these shells that aren't as in, you know, the plastic's not as good and the material's not as good for whatever reason, keeping costs down, all that nonsense. You really don't want to put the screws in and out too many times. Not only for the screw's sake, but the plastic really wasn't made to be threaded and unthreaded so many times. So you try to avoid that if you can. You don't want to do that too much. All right, let's put this on. Okay, now that our hinges are on, so just like last time, right? We'll take our, it's actually it's the longest Phillips head screw. Now this one I have had trouble with in the past because this one goes into that plastic, so sometimes it really doesn't like when you use the original. This one seems to be working well, actually. Nice, that wasn't too bad. All right, sweet, nice and easy. Okay, now what we're gonna do is put the buttons in like we had before, right? Okay, and start and select buttons. If I can grab them without throwing them across the desk. Just like that. A button. And the B button. And then our brightness. And we are good to go on buttons. Now, there is a gap here, right? We don't want to forget our speaker. Very important. Okay, another thing people tend to forget is our little square. Our little square. Now, we should have one that came with this. There is one in there. I think we will try to get the one out of here and use that one if we can. If I can get it out without messing the thread up. There we go. So let's try using that one first. See if we can get that one to fit in there. Now what this does is this is actually the spot where the battery pack, when you screw it down, it threads through this square actually. So what we'll do is to keep that in its place for now, is we will screw in, you can't see it because I have to hold it this way, but we'll screw in the battery pack and that will hold that square in place. Okay, so now all of our pieces are in place. The tricky part, right, this is actually one of the harder parts for sure, is threading this, threading it well, and then closing both of these. Gotta get it just right don't want to put too much pressure in the wrong place. But I think we got it. Nice. Okay. All right. And then we'll pull it a bit just to drop it down in place like so. Okay. And then we will take our 3, in most SPs, they are kind of like a goldish color, and they're Phillips heads, which is nice. Differentiates them. And we'll drop those in. We'll do the first pass by hand, just because we don't want to strip them. I've spent many an hour trying to get tiny stripped screws out. It's no fun. Okay, and before we get it all completely assembled, we'll do one more test here. Buttons all feel good. Okay, let's grab our battery. And we will make sure we're in the off position. We will hold it in place like so, and we will flick it on. Camera. There we go. Alrighty, that looks pretty great. Nice and straight. Color looks a little washed out for you. That's just the camera though. Alright. Wonderful. So let's get the rest of the screen pieces installed here, because then we can put the screw caps on. We're going back to our tri-wing. Let's do these by hand again as well, because that seemed to have some good success for us tonight. Alright, that one's good. Let's get the front corner here. Trying to be conscious of what you can and can't see while I'm doing this. There we go. That one's an important one, because that hinge was kind of loose on that side. Now let's get the top one. And we'll get our covers in place. And we'll go from there. Nice. Good start. Good start. I've noticed, like, if you start at an angle, you're really in trouble. But if you get it nice and straight on, that makes it work perfect. All right. We'll need that for later. That's our little Nintendo logo, which I feel like they probably, a third party can't really sell you, but we won't ask too many questions. All right, there's 4. Our 5th one is in the corner here. Can we get it out without launching screws everywhere? That is the question. The answer to that seems to be no, because it is really down in the corner. We're just going to cut a new escape tunnel for it. Gamma. Oh. Well. Or we'll just do it this way. Wow, it was really stuck in there. There's no way we were going to get that out. Around the screws. Holy smokes. It's like glued in there. Come on, baby. You can do it. You can do it. Whew. All right. Now we're going to take these and want to toss them into this little bag I have over here. Not a major bag, a little bag. Okay. Sweet. So the two rounded ones, right, go in the top corners. Make sure they're in nice and good. Top corners. Okay. And then your flat ones go in the other three. Nice and simple. Some people will do like off colors for these, right? I don't always feel the need to do that, but some people think that that's the way to go. It's up to you. I could have done gold, right? Gold would have looked nice if I had gold ones, but I think the matching colors is best because that's what we're used to if you play on an SP. This one seems a little loose, so I may have to throw a little something in there, but for now we'll just leave it. Okay, so last thing really is get the back on, and then we'll do the Nintendo bit last, actually very last. So we'll put that up there for now. Okay, so you can really do this either way. I try to meet it in the middle because I don't like to put this upside down. Real thing here is you want to make sure that this off switch matches your off switch here, because you don't want to break this. If you break your off switch in your Game Boy, you're in big trouble. Big trouble. Just want to line those up like so. Nice and easy. Okay, sounds great. And then we just got to get our case screws back in. Okay, there's 4 that go around the sides, right? And then there's 1 in the battery cover and 1 here. All tri-wings. Now these can be tricky because they really have to get threaded in there. But I've actually been pleasantly surprised by this shell. I've just had some rough experiences, so I've been fairly pleasantly surprised by the ease at which this is going together. I've had some where you just like have to really like hoof it to get it to stay, to get it to not only stay together, but like the last couple turns are like impossible. Nice, that was crazy easy. Like by far the easiest shell assembly I've had. Okay, we'll pull you out. Oh, did I not go enough? I guess not. Foolish me. Alright. Got our last 2. Right, tiny guy. I think actually they're the same size. Yeah. For a while I thought the one that went here was smaller, but they are the same. They are the same. Ooh, not quite lined up. These, like, all the tips of these screwdriver heads are supposed to be magnetic, but it seems like some of them are not anymore. For science reasons. Alright, that's good. And then let's get our last one in here. Let's make sure we start it straight as we can. Alright, that looks great. Let's throw our battery in. I don't have any with me right now. I'm still waiting on them to arrive. These are 600 milliamp hours, and I have 1800 milliamp hour batteries coming that fit in here, which is really nice because the backlit screen definitely drains the battery a bit faster. So you can get like 7-ish hours of play out of a single charge. And then there are mods that you can install in the motherboard to do USB-C charging, but you need micro soldering, and I am no good. Okay, so let's stick our Nintendo logo on the front here to finish this off. And then I'll go grab a Fire Emblem game to test her out. Okay, let me grab something over here. Let's see. Sacred Stones. Slide that right in. Okay, the hinge is a little tight opening up. See, like it shouldn't stop there, it should go all the way. But that's okay. It's definitely better than some of the other ones I've put together. For a second, I was like, up and down buttons are broken. Oh gosh, we messed up. But then I realized when you resume, you can only resume that one chapter. Empire's Breach. Okay, right, up, down, left, and right. Buttons all work. Sounds great. Hopefully I don't get demonetized for that music. Yeah, so some clear issues here, right, with this aftermarket shell. You can see the divot. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but the divot here is actually like not flush. So on any other SP, right, these are all like flush to the shell, but here it's not. So that's a clear issue. There's a slight gap between these two. Now that could have more to do with my sanding than with the shell itself. But it looks like as well, right, there's still some kind of outward pull here, and that's what's causing that friction. So really, I would want to sand more off of this, but we're not going to take it apart to do all that, because for the most part, it feels great. I think it looks great with the gold buttons and the green. Let me know in the comments if you think it looks good or not. And then it does come right with a replacement sticker for the back here, but what we want to do, right, is take our original off of this one and stick it on here. And then I do have some, there's Pokemon Center stickers that go over the Game Boy piece. I do have a couple of those that we can stick on. But yeah, so that is a Game Boy SP ISP screen mod without soldering. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's got all the normal stuff that a Game Boy would have. The difference between an ISP and an AGS 101, AGS 101s have kind of a pixel line breakdown, whereas the ISPs are really just a clear, crisp image. And no matter what your viewing angle is, the colors stay the same, which is awesome, especially for something on like that's on a hinge like this. It honestly, in my opinion, it changes Game Boy playing entirely. Makes it way better. There are some games that I've played recently and I've been like, man, is this how that game always looked? And it is. It just didn't feel that way because of the you know, if you were playing on original SP with the backlit, it didn't feel, the colors were washed out, didn't look as good. So I've been very pleased to see how they turn out. What time is it? 8:30. I don't think we're gonna build the next one. Maybe I'll hold it off for next week. If we have some interest and I see some views on the video and some likes, then maybe we'll do the Gameboy Advanced normal one next week. Because what I'm thinking is this is the screen here for that. And the Gameboy Advanced, these are harder to do because I don't buy pre-laminated ones, so I laminate them myself, which makes it a bit harder. But I have this cool like see-through green shell, and then I have another one of these. But what I'm waiting for actually is one of these, but it's green. And then I was gonna do gold buttons on this, and I'm going back and forth here. I'm not sure. I wanted to do a blue start and select button to kind of go with like the Hyrule feel. If not, I have like a grayish color. I can do gold because I have gold buttons. That's what's on my my SP build or my advanced build. But I thought it might be cool to do like a third color for the start and select. So we'll see. If that lens comes by next week, then we can do that build next week. But I think what we'll do for now is just call it a night. Because it was a good hour and a half. And we got a nice build done. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to see more of this, I'd be happy to do it. And if you thought it was super boring, let me know too. That's totally fine. But I enjoy doing it, and I've got quite a few to build. I have quite a few stacked on this chair behind me. I don't know if you can see them. If I move out of the way. Nope. It's off to the side. That's okay. But yeah, so we'll see you next week, and we'll either be doing another build or we'll be playing some games. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.